The first question is, like I notice me when in devotional practice, sometimes mind get unpeaceful. Sometimes I want to change situation, travel. I just want to understand, ask Maharaj why this happen. What is the philosophy behind? Why mind can be steady for 3 months and after some time get experience after again steady. Yeah.
तो पूछ रहे हैं कि Maharaj is saying that this will not happen quickly. It will happen only gradually, because you are trying to shift from one platform of samskaras of belonging to one platform to another platform, and in order to consolidate the other vasanas, it took a lot of time. We have been in the other path and we have been doing it continuously, those kind of activities. That is how they got consolidated in our hearts. Similarly, when we shift also, it will take as much time like that. It will not happen quickly. And he is giving the example of education, how we have to struggle very hard gradually, step by step, and then we become comfortable with a certain kind of thinking, mode of thinking, like in modern education. So in this way, here also it will take the same way. So he is saying that we have to do it continuously and for a long time. Dirghakala means for a long time. We have to do it continuously and with honor and respect. We have to do it with honor and respect continuously and for a long time. Then we will get a sthai bhava. We will stay. Otherwise, mind will go to wherever the earlier vasanas are. So it will want to go into that kind of a locale where the fulfillment of earlier vasanas takes place. Because this is opposite to the other earlier kind of a training. So it will be difficult for us to stay here continuously with a sthai bhava. And this will happen only with a gradual practice. Actually, Maharaj gives one example and says that it should happen when we hear the name of Krishna. It should have everything around Krishna should come into our mind spontaneously, naturally. Like if we stay here and we remember our beloved ones wherever they are staying. Just we remember the name. The moment we remember the name, we remember the circumstances, the people who are connected with them, the parikaras, and the events also which happened between us and them. Everything we remember just by remembering the name. So in the case of Krishna also, just by remembering his name, we should remember his other associates, his leelas, everything. We should get just transported into that like that. It should happen naturally. But it takes time.
Could you ask Maharaj that when you have a dream and then you awaken in the morning and you remember this dream and you didn't even know you had that desire in your heart and you go, it's just something from the mundane world. How do you get rid of that? What process do you use to cleanse those samskaras that come up in dreams?
Maharaji, ये पूछ रहे हैं कि कभी
तो भक्ति में वो मूर्छित तो हो जाता, उसका पुनर्वार फलभोग नहीं होता, ये उसका विशेषता है.
So whatever the nature of the mind is such that whatever you hear and see, it gets recorded in the mind. And there are various planes of the mind. We don't even know, only Paramatma knows where it gets recorded. And occasionally when we have when a correspondence is there, it gets actualized and it comes in front of you. So there is no escape from it actually. Once you have seen it gets recorded, it has to come out whenever there is anything. But only by Harinam and by doing bhakti, you can burn it so that it will never rise again. Otherwise, without bhakti, it will be inside, stored inside, and it keeps coming. Whenever there is a corresponding thing related to it, you experience, then it comes out. Only with bhakti, all these vasanas can be burnt in such a way that they will not rise again.
Just a related question. Bhakti is most natural thing, and all these other vasanas, they're not natural, but somehow or another it's so hard already come to bhakti path and try to surround ourselves by bhakti, but ours, that old samskaras remain. Can you ask Maharaj why something unnatural have such a strong influence on us?
ये पूछ रहे हैं कि भक्ति है ना, भक्ति ये सहज है, नेचुरल है, और ये लौकिक वासनाएं जो है वो असहज है. मगर फिर भी जब हम भक्ति कर रहे हैं तो this is because of our surroundings in which we have grown up. We get a lot of ignorance, wrong kind of knowledge, and it gets stored into through various means. Without our knowing it, it comes when we relate to other people in society, and it becomes samskara. It becomes hard vasanas like that, and it keeps rising. But in the case of bhakti, when we are doing, it rises, but it will fall down. It is rising because the vasanas are there. But when we are doing bhakti continuously like that, it's rising and it's falling down like that. So it will go away gradually. Its effect will gradually go away. There is no need to worry about it.
I have another question that like we have some bodily conditions, like for example when it's too hot in summer, I can't tolerate it. So the question is that, do this kind of vairagya is required to become pure devotee? Means when you even can't stand, you still have to tolerate, or better, to don't suffer so much and just change situation for a short period of time, until you not like so miserable when you can't do anything. And so basically two questions. One is, do we need to change situation? Do we need to tolerate it or not? And second thing, do this kind of condition will remain up to the death of this body, or this will go away after some time?
Well, we learn to tolerate it.
Yeah.
If we stay with it.
Ati Ushna, Maharaj says, gives the example of a farmer. A farmer, because he has to go and do agriculture, whether it is heat or cold, he has to go into the field. It is his duty, otherwise he cannot live. So he will go and work. He will also feel heat and cold, but he will tolerate it, and he will not give, after a certain time he will not give much importance to it at all, because he is only focused on the duty. So when a person is focused on the duty, his body will feel heat and cold, but he will lose this sense. He will not give importance to it. It will become automatic for him if he is engaged in the work. So Maharaj gives another example. If there is rain, we cannot sit inside and let cows suffer. So we have to go and do something about the cows, our daily seva. So when we are focused on our daily seva, all these things do not matter. Though there is rain on us, though there is heat on us. So in bhakti, right from the beginning, we come out with this promise to do seva, this pledge to do seva. So the moment we are fixed, we lose importance for all these things. So what to speak of when we are established in bhakti? It will affect us, but when we are fixed in the duty, we will not give any importance to these things. So he quoted one shloka from Gita also, where we tolerate. We do our duty and we tolerate. We just don't give up our duty because heat and cold are there. And they come and go. It is the nature that as long as we live, it is the nature, it's part of nature that we get both heat and cold. So there is no way to escape from this at all. So realizing this, we should continue our duty, focus on the duty.
So, but what about another question? Do this kind of conditions, like,
the last till the life, till end. Yes, Maharaj says that I did not expand it because it was in the answer, the answer itself. When you are fixed on the moment you are fixed on duty, you will have no importance for it at all. The body is feeling, but you have transcended it. So it does not. The question does not arise at all that will it happen till the end? Do we feel that? The moment you are focused on duty, it will go at whatever stage of life you are.
So material liking and disliking all go?
Will all go. It will be there, but you will not give importance to it.
Okay.
There is no mahatva for it. It is heat, hot. The body is feeling, but you don't have any importance. Your mind is only on the duty. And then,
my problem is my bodily condition is very strong, so I somehow or other need to fix my mind. Okay. Another question is, where is practical philosophy and theoretical philosophy? Basically, can Maharaj explain what's the difference? Because sometimes what we hear in Shastra is not applied in life, where is different kind of application in life. So can Maharaj explain what is the difference and where is the difference in practical and theoretical knowledge?
महाराज ये पूछ रहे हैं कि हम शास्त्र को सुनते हैं, उसका थियरी, फिलोसफी, उसका थियरी हम जान लेते हैं. नेचर इज टू want to do something and it accepts something and it rejects something. It wants to do something and it doesn't want to do something. And there are two kinds of persons who come into the path of spirituality. One person will already decide by seeing, by taking the examples of others who are in the devotional service, what I will do. So he will already have a nishchaya in his mind, firm decision in his mind, that I will do this in spirituality, spiritual practice. So when he comes, he will listen to the philosophy from Guru only in order to do those things in future. For example, someone might have come into the spiritual path by seeing some people who are giving very nice lectures, and he will also develop a desire that I will also do devotion like this, that I will speak nicely, and one day I will also get so many disciples for me like that. So he will come to the Guru, he will listen to the philosophy only with that motive, and he thinks that is devotion. And so actually in spirituality, there is threefold path. Well, you hear Shravana, Mananam and Nididhyasana. You hear from Guru, get all the knowledge, and then you do realize it in your mind, constantly think in mind what does it mean, and you establish it in mind, and then you practice in life, right? But this person who has already made that decision, he will come with that motive of gaining knowledge in order to give lectures or in order to make himself. So he will not do any practice. So there will be difference in practice in what he hears, what he speaks, and what he does. But there will be another person who will come just to follow the Guru. So he will come and he will listen to all this philosophy, and he will understand that Atma you cannot get it by any giving discourses or learning so many things and things like that. You get only by surrendering to the Guru and practicing what the Guru is teaching you. So he will follow that threefold path, that he will listen, he will give Shravana, and he will do in the mind, he will establish that knowledge by constantly thinking about analyzing the knowledge, and then having understood the knowledge thoroughly, he will practice it. So he will follow that path, and he will not give any importance to other aspects such as giving lectures and things like that. He will focus only on the practice part of it. Whatever Guruji is saying, that he will try to follow, whatever he has heard. So he will not have importance for any personal motives. So it depends upon, the difference between theory and practice depends upon with what kind of a decision the disciple comes to the Guru. Whether he already decides what is devotion and uses only what he has heard from the Guru to fulfill that, or whether he will come to give up his personal understandings and then want to follow practically what the Guru is saying. So these two tendencies make the theory and practice different or one.
Material. Do this possible to give up all whatever understanding just once and follow Guru? This is possible in practice?
तो महाराज ये पूछ रहे हैं कि ये हम पहले ही तो धारणा करके आए हैं भक्ति के बारे में, जिससे हम ये प्रवचन करके हमारा अपने आप को बढ़ाना चाहते हैं। तो ऐसी भावनाएं जो हमारे अंदर जो रहती हैं उसको एक ही झट yes we can do it, but the problem is most often people are not truthful. Somewhere in their hearts this cheating propensity, deception lies, because of which he will take to spiritual path only to get some name. He will use all his knowledge to make money and look for his personal comforts, and once he gets comforts, then he or she will feel why I should carry on with all these things. So he will relax. It will not allow him to, since his goals are achieved, his or her goal is achieved, he or she will not try to work in this path. So it is this deception which makes that person to not follow and only use this thing for material benefits. But what we should be doing is that in bhakti, we should the disciple will take pleasure only in the pleasure of the Savior. We are Sevaka, he is the Savior. Savior means the one whom we serve. So he will be constantly engaged in serving the Guru, and he will take pleasure only if the Guru is pleased. And with this, that will go away. But in the other case, we take pleasure in our own personal benefits. So the disciple who is fixed will think that his body is temporary, his mind is temporary, his senses are temporary, the money that he can earn is temporary, and we will die one day. There are two kinds of tendencies, swartha and parartha. In swartha, we want to do everything for the fulfillment of our own selves. In parartha, we try to do things for our Guru, for God. But mostly people are engaged in their own sense gratification, in their own personal benefits. So for such people we should not disturb them, Maharaj is saying. There is a gradual process. Even in our Shastra, not everyone is directly brought into bhakti. As you know, there are various stages. So we should speak our philosophy in such a way that we should show them that these kinds of ideas are going to help benefit you in whatever you want, whatever they want. These ideas will benefit them. Everyone wants to hear something new, new kinds of thoughts, so that it will help them in some way to fulfill their goals. So we should show how this knowledge will help them to fulfill their goals. And then gradually we should bring them into the path of bhakti, seva. But first we have to convert all this knowledge in order to help them to become better in their own lives. This is how it should be given. Said this, I remembered that. So what Maharaj said is that even though people have potential to do, you asked how we can overcome. No? People really have potential to do seva, but still what holds them back, what will not allow them to do according to their full potential, is that deception or cheating propensity which lurks somewhere behind. That will make this person not to do the right thing, but to do things for their personal benefit. This was the point last time he.
And can you ask Maharaj what I just asked, and how to overcome them, because this is basically main obstacle.
So Maharaj, with firm resolve, if we have firm resolve, then we can work according to our full potential. What holds back is basically our samskaras which we have cultivated since our childhood. So there Maharaj also gives the generally example that generally when someone is progressing in the path of devotion, then there are various people will come and as if they are well-wishers to you, they will come and try to teach to you, why do you want to do so much of service there, you take care of yourself. They will promote you towards your bodily pleasures. Actually they pose as if they are your well-wishers, but they are not your well-wishers. they are envious of you. They are our enemies. So they just want to stop our progress. That is why they keep on saying these kinds of things. Why do you want to do so much? Why don't you take care of yourself? Because they cannot see your progress. And as far as mind is concerned, it is because of a kind of a training that we have got from the childhood. In the modern days, the mother trains the children. This child is totally under the control of mother. Mother is the first teacher, and she teaches till he is 5 or 10 years old through strict discipline, by beating and through various means. She teaches him in this swartha nature, that he will stick to the family itself, stick to his bodily needs only, that he will not you misuse anything that belongs to the family, the property and things like that. And when he grows, the parents will engage them in the marriage, so that he is further fixed in that kind of a path. But in the older times, that was not the training. As soon as the child was 8 years old, they used to send him to a gurukula. He was not under the protection of their parents, but under the protection of a guru. And at that age, he is very delicate. So whatever he gets from the guru, he grasps it nicely and is thoroughly trained. And when he is sent to grihastha ashrama after marriage, then the same samskaras work in him, and he will follow the shastra truthfully. But not in the case of modern. Here we are trained by our parents continuously to take care of ourselves, our family, our belongings, our property. We are trained like that. And it manifests when we come into the devotion also. When we are doing in the field of activity, whatever samskaras are there, it will manifest. And the disciple will always feel, whatever, in the beginning he will ask questions, but after a certain time he will feel that this knowledge is very easy, I can acquire it very easily, and I can use it for my better purposes. And I can make my own career, I can make my own property. This is how the mind will keep on thinking. This is because of the training. So when he comes to the guru also, he comes with a lot of doubt and with a lot of preoccupation. And his mind will constantly guide him like that because of the training which he had since childhood. So this has to be countered gradually. And we should realize that whatever we do is limited, and it will not stay for a long time. Real fame or real name comes only by when you do activities for the sake of society, for the sake of country, for the sake of God, for the sake of Guru. That will stay forever. Maharaj gave the example of Rup Sanatan, who were who had a lot of fame, who had a lot of property, money, and all that when they were ministers. But they gave up everything. They used it all their whatever they had, talents they had, in order to come to this place and then write books. And they did not create this knowledge in order to make any personal benefit or something like that. They just did it for the humanity. But you see how the knowledge, their names have survived. It's going to survive till eternity. This is real work. So we should be doing work like that. And Maharaj also gave the example of Parikshit Maharaj, how when his death came, he just left everything and he came to the sadhus and wanted to hear the name of glories of the Lord. He did not bother about his past whatever he had, possessions he had. He just gave up. But now in the modern world you will see that even at the time of death also, if you call people, even at that time he is thinking about his personal gains. He will not renounce anything. This is because of the training, a long drawn training that he had since childhood. And whatever training that we have till the age of 5 and 10, when we were very delicate, those impressions are very strong. And it's very, it will manifest in future wherever we go, in whatever activities that we do. So by surrendering to the Guru and by having faith in the Guru, as this is possible actually when in the young age, because when you are young, when the parents were giving you even this knowledge of selfishness, You accepted it without any question at that time. The children don't question. Whatever is given to them from the surroundings, they just take it. But as you grow up, you start asking questions, you start doubting it. And we start using it for our purposes. So the solution for it is actually this knowledge should come, strictly speaking, from the childhood only, when these impressions can be formed, and which will from where he will never deviate. In wherever he go, he comes into the path of bhakti also, he will act perfectly and strictly. But as we grow, we have already formed these tendencies, which will become great hurdles for us. They will pull us back. But again, the solution for this is the same, that we have to have firm faith on Guru and make strong resolve that I am going to do what is pleasing to him, and then act. By doing that, we have to, it will take time. As much time it has taken to form these vasanas, so much time it will take also to gradually go away.
I feel sometimes like I have two persons inside. One is devotee and one is demon. So, could Maharaj comment on this?
तो इनको लगता है कि कभी there are these two tendencies.
इसको ज्ञान कहते हैं.
One is Daivi and one is Asuri. The Asuri will want to destroy everything, everyone other's pleasure, and he wants to seek personal pleasure. It makes you to seek your own pleasure. Even though according to our karma, whatever karma we do, we get the result. We don't get anything more or less beyond our karma. But still this Asuri tendency will always want to get as much as possible, as much possession, it want to get as much as possible. Whereas this Daivi in us will tell us about the essence of life. It will make us realize the temporariness of this body, our positions, and it will make us to act on the right path. So this is jnana, to realize, the Daivi will give the jnana, and it will make us to do that. So these two tendencies are there.
Maharaj just said about this karma. Whatever we got is supposed to get by karma. So, but we also have free will, do we? Like, so question is, I have one question about what is karma and what is free will, and how much we have karma and how much we have free will, basically. If where is like if I am miserable, do this my karma, or do this or when I'm enjoying? I'm enjoying by my free will or by my karma? When I'm suffering, I'm suffering by my.
तो ये पूछ रहे हैं, he is saying that this knowledge, jnana, ichha, desire, and kriti, action. These three are the nature of the qualities of the consciousness. When the consciousness leaves this body will neither have knowledge, nor have desire, nor action. So these three God has given to us in a limited manner. We cannot have unlimited any of these. So if we engage these three, knowledge, desire and action, in a proper manner, we acquire right kind of knowledge, then automatically there is a right kind of desire in you, and you will do the right kind of action and get the right results. But if you acquire improper knowledge, then you will have improper desire in you, and improper desire will make you improper action. So if you will have improper results. So one is Daivi and one is Asuri, extending from the last answer. So it depends on us that which kind of knowledge we cultivate, so that it will automatically develop the right desire and right action, giving us proper results.
Maharaji, can I ask another question? This one practical question.
So, there are two kinds of behavior or knowledge, vyavaharik and paramarthik. That which is practical, and that where people are interested in their own selves, and an activity which is for the sake of Guru or for the sake of God that we do. People are predominantly in that Vyavaharika level. They are interested in their own body, their own benefit. So such people will not tolerate if anyone is progressing. God has given us these three things, as Maharaj mentioned: jnana, ichha, kriya, knowledge, and will, and then action. So we should try to utilize this to our maximum potential, and we should try to do activity. But when we are doing, people who are envious will constantly try to pull our leg. When we are progressing, they are very impatient. They cannot tolerate. Even if we don't want, they will come and give advice to us. This is how you should be doing. You are going in the wrong path. And they will say things like this. So we should not bother about them, and we should be engaged in God's service, and we should try to do activity to our full potential, not stop anywhere. These people will always be there to pull leg, and they will try to make you lose your heart, disappoint you, and do things like that. So we should understand that this as belonging to the Vyavaharika world, and then we should progress at all without bothering.
So should we just don't say anything, or should we just speak back? When somebody criticizing you or say something, you're doing,
or just ignore
you should be completely renounced or this or that, just while trying to create all this facility.
तो ये बोल रहे हैं कि जब ऐसे हमारे गुरु भाई में ही थोड़े लोग हमको ऐसा बोल रहे हैं, तो हम उनको कुछ बात बोलना चाहिए या नहीं तो चुप बैठ जाना. वो बोलते हैं कि तुम इतना बड़ा क्यों बनाना चाहते हो. Maharaj gives one example as an answer to your question. He says that when the lion is going, then if the dog barks, then since it is very royal, it will not bother about a dog. It's a small thing for him. So he just walks like that. The dog keeps on barking because the lion is not listening to him, not bothering about him. But the lion just goes away. But if any lesser animal is there, it will get affected by the barking of the dog and tries to do something about it. So through this example, he wants to communicate that we should just not bother about such people and should not give any importance, nor should we get influenced by such barkings. We should just continue our work and keep on doing it. And it is better to avoid, retorting back with such people. Just keep on doing our activities without bothering and giving any importance to them.
Okay. So another thing, where I study Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, I have one question about that Bhagavatam is Ras Shastra, and from another side is our main book, and not like me, Champakawata, main quantity of Maharaj's disciple, we're not educated in Sanskrit or in Sahitya. So what's the possibility for us to understand it? And can we understand without all that knowledge, or we have to, be serious about study grammar and
Sahitya, Alankara.
And understand Bhagavatam.
ये बोल रहे हैं कि ये लोग भक्ति
जिसकी योग्यता है वो अध्ययन करे, नहीं तो सब श्रवण मात्र, तो श्रवण करना पड़ता, श्रवण मात्र से ही होता.
So it is not necessary that we should learn all these shastras to understand Bhagavatam, the spirit of Bhagavatam. We should do Shravana. By Shravana we will get the spirit of Bhagavatam. But those who have that kind of a temperament and eligibility, they will learn all these things and they will try to understand. But in order to get the gist of Bhagavatam, Shravana is the most important. We must hear about it, and then we will get it.
उसका जो विषय है उसे श्रवण करे, जाने अपने विषय जानना आवश्यक है.
How can we relate the story of Dhruva Maharaj then to our life?
What about?
Well, just reading about Dhruva, how can we apply what that story is teaching, or that pastime.
जो ध्रुव महाराज का चरित्र है उससे स्ट्रांग
माता का आदेश पालन, माता का आदेश पालन, निष्ठा.
His strong resolve and his ability to listen to his mother's words. When his mother told him once, you go to the forest, you will get the Lord. He just went, that's all. And then he did not come back till he saw the Lord. So, following the words of the mother and being firmly fixed till one attains the goal. These things we should learn from Dhruva.
Not all stories in Bhagavatam related to Krishna, who is our worshipable deity. So, how we can understand that we're devotee of Krishna, but there is, some stories about demons, about, Shukracharya, about heaven. So they're not related to Krishna, about Yayati, how he enjoys so much. So how we can relate this to enjoy rasa of Bhagavatam? You understand what this is like? Katha Ruchi. This story, they're not like Katha Ruchi.
We पूछ रहे हैं कि भागवत में, so when whoever is born in the material world, he is attracted by possessions, material possession, people, children, family, and all these things. So they have to be shown the nature and the results of all these things. How the temporary nature of all these things, they have to be shown. So then only they will renounce all these things and try to go for the Lord's service. Unless this is shown, he will not get vairagya for these things. The craving will not go, and he will not go for the right path with a firm resolve. That is why, even though the Bhagavatam is about Lord and his devotees, there are stories about kings. There is a story about a king who has so much possession that even the gods will envy. But such a king who has enjoyed all these things has left the property, all his possessions, the way, and did not feel proud about it. The way we feel, we leave stool and then we don't feel any proud about it. He just left it like that. He had possessions. Even the gods were envious of his possessions. He had such possession, these kings. So when we hear such stories, these are the things which we crave for. So when we hear stories like that, then we will feel that, a man with such possession has given up all these things, has taken the shelter of the God. So we will understand what is vairagya, we will have renounced for our own possessions, and we will take to the path of bhakti. So since the human being in this world craves for these things, and he has to be shifted from this platform to that platform, the story of one who has moved from this to that platform will be given. And the examples will be given of the highest, the person who has the highest possessions, the kings. So that is why all these stories are there. So these stories are meant to make us feel renounced about our cravings and possessions and take the shelter of the Lord.
I understand this part, but I don't. We just studied second wave, verse like 250. I don't remember exactly where Rupa Goswami said that jnana and vairagya are not part of bhakti. Sometimes they are useful for entrance, but actually they shouldn't be practiced because they make hard. Jiva Goswami comment. So can Maharaj comment on this shloka, how to understand it in relationship to Bhagavatam?
तो भक्ति रसामृत सिंधु में ऐसा कहा गया है. So when we have this understanding that Lord is our Savior, when we treat Him like that, we automatically try to get knowledge about our relationship, about Lord, and what are His tastes, what does He like, Savior. And then we will try to perform it. And the opposite of doing seva is that taking pleasure in our own raga. We take pleasure in our own fulfillment. And when we are focused on our Savior, automatically we will not have any raga, because we are only concentrated on serving the other person. So this will very naturally go away. You are not looking after yourself. You are always doing activity in order to please that person. And in order to please that person, you have to know what is pleasurable for him. So you will know. This mood will make you to know about him, about your relationship and what he takes pleasure in. And you will also do not give any importance to your own pleasures, and you will give it up naturally. Like Maharaj was giving an example of let us say you have a guest, then you want to treat him. Then you will try to know what is pleasing for him, what he likes. You may not, it's not according to your taste, but if a guest comes, you will not treat him according to your taste, but you will treat him according to his taste. Then you will try to know about it, you will get knowledge, and then you will try to please that person. You will not cook for yourself, but you will cook for that other person. So automatically, haven't you given up your raga? So it will happen naturally when you are focused on the other person and you are serving your savior. What is reject? So these two are, they will follow naturally if we are have this Sevya Sevak Bhav. But in the case of other persons, what is rejected is the Vairagya practiced by some Yogi Rajas, yogis. They will give up certain kinds of foods. They will wear minimum clothing, and they will do all kinds of tricks. Ultimately, the end result of all these things you will see in the practical world is that people will be influenced by them, they will honor them, and then they try to bank upon it and try to make as much as possible out of it. So this Vairagya has to be rejected. And there are some Jnanis who will think that the Atma and Paramatma are one. I am the Brahman itself. So they will try to do some kind of they will give up the whole society and they will go into some caves and practice. They don't want to associate with the material world. But that will also, ultimately these practices will also lead towards fame and possessions only. These people will eventually, when they get some people start giving importance to them, and automatically they will also start making disciples and fame and all those things are rejected. The independent, the Jnana and Vairagya, which are independent of bhakti, are rejected. They are very unnatural practices. Since they are unnatural, they will automatically result in material fulfillment of material goals only. Whereas when it comes with bhakti, it's a natural thing. You are focused on your service, and these two things will naturally. You have to know your service, you have to know the Savior, and when you serve Him, you will automatically give up. It will happen naturally. You don't give up actually, it will happen when you are engaged in Seva. You will become free from raga.
Okay.
Going to be here tomorrow.
As I understood, even from one side we should always engage in gadhadhara about Krishna, and from another side we don't understand Radha Krishna pastimes by being materially conditioned. So we want to hear about Krishna in a sense to know what he like, what he is doing to progress. From another side, we don't understand his pastimes in a sense if we read about them. So what to do?
तो भक्ति मार्ग में हम भगवान की कथा श्रवण करना चाहिए, मगर हमारे को वो अच्छी तरह से समझ में नहीं आता पूर्व संस्कार के वश होने के कारण। वो लीला समझकर हम भक्ति मार्ग में उन्नति करना चाहते हैं, मगर वो नहीं होता, लीला समझ में नहीं आती है जो हमारे संस्कार के लिए। तो हम क्या करना चाहिए? Maharaj is saying because of the previous samskaras, we will not understand his leela first time. We have to keep on hearing them again and again, and with honor and respect, with earnest honor and respect. Then by Lord's mercy we will understand. The understanding will take place by Lord's mercy only. So we have to hear again and again and again, and one day Lord's mercy will come and it will be revealed. The meaning of his story, Leela, will be revealed to us.
I notice, like, in my consciousness, when I have too many things in my mind, I become very unconscious because so many things going on, and basically I become careless. How to become more focused on the things,
तो जब
on the service?
मन में बहुत प्रकार के विचार आते रहते हैं, तो किसी चीज और past samskaras, all these things will come, and in the case of material things we have to work very hard to focus on something. We have to get trained, you work very meticulously. Whereas in the case of devotion it is not like that. You do practice your devotional service, but you don't, it is different from the material practices, where you do things meticulously in order to attain certain goal. It's not like that. It will manifest on its own. This is Lord's Chit Shakti. So it will manifest. For those who are favorable towards Lord and service, for them it will manifest naturally.
Maharaj, we are already in some association with Maharaj, and he see us, we try to do some service. Maybe he have some suggestion, comments of how we can improve, which area we have to work more, to improve our... and Krishna.
तो महाराज जी, आप आपके संग में ये लोग थोड़े दिन से हैं और आप इनका अध्ययन कर रहे हैं. सो इन भक्ति, this is whatever active seva that we do is the sadhana, is the means, and that itself is the goal. So whatever you will do here, we will do here, that itself we will attain. So we have to try very hard to use our full potential to concentrate on our seva and do the best. This is our sadhana, and this itself is our sadhya. This is what we will attain after we leave our body also. So understanding this, we have to focus more on our full potential, on our service.
ये देखिए, ये जैसे करते हैं.
So if we do our service with love and devotion, then Krishna will be pleased by it, and he will give us his association. He will make us his associate in his world, in his Leela. So we have to do the same, the seva with preeti, with love, to our best efforts. And now we do Lord service in various ways, like the temple deity service and the cows and all. So we have to take care of all these things, the books, mainly the books also. We have to take care of all these things to our full, in the best way possible. So in order to preserve, protect all these things, we have to make as much effort as possible. We have to earn as much money as possible in order to protect all these things, and then we will be able to take care of these things with devotion. Otherwise, it will in today's world, this will come as a hurdle for us. If we don't have any money to take care of all these things, so much takes place in order to maintain these things. No? So we have to do our best to earn as much as possible as long as we live, and protect all these three things. With that we will be able to do comfortably the service, protect them, all these things.
I have a question about cow seva. Like, main thing to do anukul, what is pleasurable, but sometimes I notice, like in big gosha, like 5 cows, they don't like to be brushed at all, but
they don't like
to be brushed, clean, and from another side we want to clean them. So what is proper thing, to leave them alone because they don't want it, or because they try to beat you? So what is actually favorable?
to get.
हमारे यहाँ जो सेवा करते हैं अनुमति द्वारा न प्रणाम करेंगे तभी कहना पड़ता मयम कमीशा तो तो इस प्रकार से अनुमति के द्वारा.
In order to do our service, we have to have the knowledge about whom we are serving and what is pleasurable to the Savior. And this will come by experience. Gradually, when we are doing seva, we will know. So, we have to know the mentality of the cows. So, sometimes it doesn't like brush. So when we don't like, the humans can express it through their words and their expressions, but the cow will express definitely through it. It gets angry, so it will run after you or do things like that. So at that time we should understand its mood, that it does not like this thing. But we can also see that sometimes it likes to be fed first, the bhus or the jaggery. It likes to eat. So we have to understand what does it like. So and then when we give those particular things to that, then it will sit down properly to get served. So Maharaj was giving the example of one cow, Yamuna, that whenever you show brush to it, it looks very angrily with you and it wants to hit you. But sometimes when Maharaj gives it the food that it wants, then it will feel pleased and it will sit nicely as if inviting us to brush it. So we have to understand when it likes what. Now does it want to eat? Now it doesn't. Does it want to get brushed? Will it like it if I am doing this, or will it hate me if it does it? So by following it, and this knowledge we will get by experience, by gradually following its moods and its mentality, we have to improve our service.
मरने के लिए आते हैं तो जागरी कुछ खाना चाहता, आटा ही चाहता, और मारने के उनका नहीं रहता. वो क्रोध नहीं है, पर वो कैसे अपने भाव को व्यक्त करेगा.
Actually, when it is coming to hit, it is not angry with you or something like that. But how else can it manifest his feeling that it doesn't want it that way? We can say, but the cow can only run towards you only to show that it doesn't want that particular thing. It's not angry or it does not want to really hit you or something like that. That is the only way it can manifest it. So we should see that actually it wants something to eat or some. Most often it is like that. It wants to eat jaggery, or when it sees you, it will think that you are going to feed it something. But if you go with a brush, then it will reject that action. It doesn't want it now. So you slightly give some jaggery or some bhus, then you will know this wants to eat something now.
Is that true with Suresh?
वो पूछ रहे हैं कि सुरेश कभी भी गुस्से में रहता है. बल्कि
नहीं गुस्सा में नहीं रहता, बिल्कुल गुस्सा नहीं है.
अच्छा,
तो थोड़ा सा वो उसकी आवश्यकता होती है, थोड़ा कूदे, थोड़ा ऐसा करे. गुस्सा से नहीं तो कोई नहीं जिंदा रहेगा. कोई
says that no cow here is really angry. No, because Maharaj takes care of all its needs, so it will never get angry. If a cow really gets angry, it has so much of energy, it can destroy. You will see elsewhere places on the roads. Generally, it is chasing someone and running after someone in order to destroy that person. But here the cows will not get anger like that. But the point here is that it is always tied here. There is no space to roam around. It needs some exercise. It becomes allergic. It's staying in the same place for a long time, in a crowded, and so it needs some blood circulation. So it starts removing the dust. It starts jumping around here and there. All that allergic thing. In order to make itself comfortable, it does all kinds of things. But never these cows are angry. But if you hit it once, generally in the case of a cow, if it is hungry and you are deliberately snatching away something from it, or if you hit it, and it will remember all its life, and it will always look for an opportunity to when I should hit this person. But here it is taken care of very nicely, so it will never do like that. It is never hit, or its basic needs are never denied for it. So it will never do like that. It is because of the discomfort, Like when we sit in one place, we do all these kinds of things. We want to roam around. We do it mildly, but since it's an animal, it will do. It's like that.
Because once you like something, then it becomes natural, and there is no need of any inspiration coming from Shastric injunction or anything else. So if you like, you have a natural taste for it, then it is Ravana. Taste. By hearing about Lord, His activities, His qualities, Katha. The rule is that you should wash and go, enter the temple after washing only. But he said generally in Vrindavan this rule has not been followed. But if you go to Banaras, or even I have seen in South India, there is always a tradition that you wash your feet before you enter the temple. And they actually make a facility for that. There is always a place where you wash your feet and then enter. But in Vrindavan, temples don't have that facility. So he says, maybe it is because the water was not readily available here. Now you have taps, but he says previously there was only wells. And you had to pull water from the well. So it was not so easy, and the wells were also not so common. So because of scarcity of water, this rule was not practiced. So he says at least when one enters into the deity room, one should wash, go with the clean feet. And there should not be dirt. So this is the principle is there. Pratap Rudra and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya were his main disciples in Puri.
In the Shastra we find a number of incidents about devotees who are communicating with persons who have already left their physical bodies, like Narada bringing back the son of the king, or Narada taking the message of Pandu to Yudhishthira that he should perform the Rajasuya sacrifice and so on. So there is also the Shraddha system, where people go to the graveyard and talk to their ancestors or friends who have left their bodies. Now, my question is it actually possible to communicate with a departed soul or someone who has left his body? Or vice versa, for someone who has left his body to communicate with others who are still in their physical bodies? And if so, how relevant is this for devotees? Should a devotee try to contact someone who has already left the body, or respond to some influence from somebody who...
Maharaji is saying that in the previous ages or previous times, when Varnashrama was intact and there was no Varna Sankara produced, then it was possible. Because this type of worship, Shraddha ceremony, it was followed meticulously, and then it was possible to contact the forefathers or departed souls. But now when this Pinddan, as Bhagavad Gita says, Lukta Pindoda Kriya, has been abolished, or people are not following, and there is one Sankara, so this art has been lost. There is no possibility of contacting now Pitri Purushas, forefathers, or people like that.
So if somebody claims that he has these contacts, that is simply a mental concoction or imagination?
Just a concoction. This thing doesn't exist anymore.
Can I ask another question? How can we who don't know much of past or future judge anything properly that happens at present? No, we don't know the past.
What do you mean judge? Why do you have that? You can only judge by the result. It says at that particular situation you may think right, but when the result comes and that is wrong, then you have to know that your action was wrong. So there is nothing else you can do. Obviously, whatever knowledge you have, you judge at that time, but ultimate decision is by seeing what is the reaction or result of that activity. As he is giving an example that you may keep some person for doing some service and you think that he or she is reliable, but after some time you realize that it is not so, then you know that you made a wrong decision. So he says nobody is omniscient. In our case we can only see from the result.
One last question. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu it is stated that Uttama Bhakti destroys all the kleshas. Yet while one is on the practicing stages, one may still experience different kinds of problems. It seems to me that the Shastra doesn't speak much about such problems. Is this because the practice of Uttama Bhakti is for persons who are already very qualified? Or is it because such problems will disappear by themselves due to the power of the sadhana? Or should one take help from other sources like psychotherapy, astrology, yoga, etc.?
ये परमपद लोग दिखाते हैं 3 प्रकार भक्ति है, भाव भक्ति है, साधन भक्ति है और प्रेम भक्ति है। साधन में कुछ जाता, उसमें भाव भक्ति में कुछ जाता, प्रेम भक्ति में प्रेम सब जाता। इसका अर्थ है परतत्व विषय में जितने जितने उसमें आवेश होता सत्य रूप से, जैसे गुरुपद आश्रय किया, अतो श्रद्धा, ईश्वर वाक्य में श्रद्धा निश्चय, तो यहाँ से उसका क्लेश निवारण होता। आगे जाकर अनर्थ निवृत्ति हो जाती है। गुरुपाद आश्रय, अतो श्रद्धा, तथा साधु सुनो, गुरु सुनो, गुरुपाद आश्रय, अथवा वजन क्रिया। जब उसे भजन क्रिया तस्मत् गुरु प्रपद्येत जिज्ञासु श्रेय उत्तम शब्द पारित विश्रांतम ब्रह्म निपसमाश्रम तस्मात् भागवतम धर्मान शिक्षित गुरुवात्म दैवत अमय अनुवृत्त ज्येष्ठित आत्मा आत्मधोरी। शिक्षा गुरु और शिष्य का संबंध होता, शिक्षा का संबंध अनुशासित होकर भागवत धर्म वो शिक्षा करेगा। तद विद्य प्रणिपात परिप्रश्न से वया उपदेक्षण की ज्ञान ज्ञान तत्प्रदर्शन। तो जो उसमें शिक्षा ग्रहण करेगा, अमाया से अनुवृत्ति करेगा, ये भजन क्रिया होती है, सेवा की क्रिया। तो जो वो परिचर्या करेगा उनकी बात मान के चलेगा तो अविद्या अस्मिता राग द्वेष अविनिवेश ये सब चलेगा, इस अंश में जाता। उसमें पापम तद्बीजम कूटम अविद्या क्रमे नहीं पंडियता विष्णु ये जाता। तो पाया करके जो क्लेश है अविद्या अस्मिता राग उद्देश्य और ये वजह क्रिया।
Your question before even I asked, and he said that this klesha goes away right from the point one surrenders to the Guru, and then more goes away when he starts doing the seva bhajan kriya. So he says that everything does not go away completely, but some goes in the sadhana stage, some goes at the bhav, and then ultimately everything is finished at the last level of prema bhakti, as there are 3 divisions of sadhana bhakti, bhav bhakti and prema bhakti. So he says this is direct, this is to be experienced directly. This is not something you imagine that after death something will happen. And it is pratyaksha anubhav, directly perceived. That one takes shelter and does service without any deception, then one will understand things properly. And this avidya, asmita, rag, dvesh, abhinivesh, these 5 types of kleshas, which is ignorance or the ego that I am the doing, attachment to material things, or envy, absorption, material body, and all these things, they are dispelled gradually. And when one advances further, then it will go away more and more. So he says this is the process for it.
It happens gradually,
Mm.
and one should simply accept this and not try to, be separate endeavors to.
There is no need for any separate. Nothing else can do anything. That we've been reading that no other process can do anything without bhakti.
But this, provided someone has the adhikar for the bhakti marg, because we were all reading that if someone doesn't have the proper adhikar for the path, it doesn't work. So can it be that if someone is so much, has problems, that he's just simply on the wrong path and he should change?
पूछ रहे हैं कि ये जो प्रक्रिया है
और उसमें अपने कोई प्रतिदान के लिए आशा नहीं रखेगा। ये भक्ति है। भक्ता उपाय झटवन उदय अंजय पुंसा और समृद्धि भागवता नहीं ज्ञान स्थान नरो राजन न प्रमाद जीतो करे के धावन निमिल्यवान नते नष्ट कर लेता भक्ति। ये तो सुगम है। ये भगवत परिणत धर्म है और सार धर्म है। केवल अच्छा लगे उनकी बात, अच्छा लगने शब्द अर्थ होता है वो बात मान करके चलेगा, इसे अपना नहीं करेगा। क्यों प्रिय व्यक्ति को बात मान कर चले तो अच्छा लगेगा, इसीलिए करेगा। कोई कठिन नहीं है। और सताम मार्ग स्तब्धे न दूषित देह और इंद्रिय परायण जितने व्यक्ति होते हैं वो सज्जन के मार्ग को स्तब्ध कर देते हैं। इसलिए वो शरीर और शरीर जात्र निर्वाह करने के लिए वो विनिमय पद्धति अपनाता वो नहीं होता, अति सरल अति सरल है, सर्वदेशिक है, सर्वकाल में है, सब अधिकारी है, छोटे बालक से लेकर से।
Maharaj is basically saying that bhakti means service, and service for the sake of the Lord, and it is propagated by the Lord himself. So he says you have to know the difference between service and just work. Work people do in the material world and they have some motive behind it, and that is not considered as service, although the word service is used for that also. It says you keep people and you hire them, you pay them, but their intention is to take more and more, legally whatever they get, and then they will like to steal also. So the stealing is a universal principle, even Krishna steals. So the servants also steal. So but that is not considered as seva, because the intention is not for the sake of the person you are serving. So it says bhakti means bhakti rasya bhajanam iha mutra upadhina rasyena tadam tasmin mane kalpanam. Means you give up upadhi, any designations, any attachment, and you fix mind on him only for his pleasure, here and in the next world also. So when someone is thinking that adhikar is not there or klesha is not going, that means his interest is not in bhakti. His interest is that he wants to get rid of the kleshas. So the purport of his statement is that these characteristics are defined there in bhakti. Now it does not mean that you do bhakti for that. That happens naturally. So he says once you like something, then you do it and you don't feel the misery. As in the material world, people work so hard to earn money and they never complain about it. And he is giving an example that here now it's winter time and farmers, they do farming. So they water their fields in the cold at night, because mostly in the villages electricity comes at night time. So in this cold they will be in the field and watering their fields. So he says in comparison to that, what is the difficulty in bhakti? It is very simple process, and anyone can do it, whether young boy or old man, and it can be done anywhere, under all circumstances. But one should have liking for it, and that comes by hearing. As he gave the example that even Sukdev Goswami, who was a Brahmagyani, fully deeply sighted in Brahman realization, just by hearing about Krishna, Kamva Dayalum Sharanam Brajeme, this verse describing that how he even gave such a superior position to Putana, then his mind changed by hearing the quality of Krishna. So he says, by hearing, if by grace of the Lord you like it, then you do service, and you are not expecting that now this is not happening to me, that is not happening. Because when you are expecting like that, that means your interest is not in bhakti. Because bhakti means seva or service. And as he was quoting verses from Bhagavatam, that these practices of bhakti, they are propagated by the Lord himself, and anyone who walks on this path, jnanastha naro rajan. So even if he is with closed eyes, means he may not even have proper knowledge or scholarly person, but he follows it with faith and liking, then he neither deviates nor falls down. So he says this is the best process, simple process and universal process. There is no discrimination on this.
Bhakta Krishna Kevalam Ashram Bhakti Priya Madhava Yashasti Bhakti Akintina Sarvai Guristata Samapsa.
So saying that Lord is pleased only by bhakti, because he is bhakti priya. And a person who performs bhakti, then all good qualities come in him naturally. So no separate endeavor is to be made for it. But one must do it with sincerity and simplicity. So the saralta, simplicity is the necessary qualification. So that means no big qualification is needed. If you want to take up some job, you need some qualification. But simplicity, you cannot say that. Well, where can we get that?
Vyadhachachalanam dhruvashikavaya vidyagajendrishika kuvyaya kimanam rupamadikam kimta sudhamna dhanam.
So he's quoting this.
Vidar Ugrasha Vidarbhade Ugrasha Kim Paurasam Bhakta Tushati Kevalam Achagamar Bhakti Sarvadesi Sarvatra Sarvakal Sarvatra Sarvada Ati Saral बनाया गया इसीलिए केवल जत्र स्वल्पों की संबंध साध्यम भाव लेना स्वल्प स्वल्प संबंध होने का ये मानसिक वृत्ति है, बाद कुछ आचरण है। मानसिक वृत्ति होने से आचरण संभव सरल साधारण रूप से, ना कोई कठिनाई नहीं।
So he's quoting this verse, which basically giving example of many devotees. That what is the good behavior of the hunter, or good education of Dhruva or Prahlad, and what kind of dynasty was he born, or Kubja. So, or what was the big chivalrous activity done by Ugrasen. So all these people, they became devotees. Therefore he says bhakti is basically consciousness, or your mental conception. And if you have that, then activity happens. So that is the main thing. Otherwise, no other qualification is needed.
Universal thought can be practiced everywhere. What does it mean? What does it mean?
पूछ रहे हैं कि भक्ति जो एक सार्वभौम is answering that every human being has eligibility to perform bhakti. And that's what it means, that it is a universal path. And all times, under all circumstances, in all places, in different stages of life, bhakti can be executed. And bhakti means to do congenial service for the pleasure of the Lord. It says that living entity is meant to be servant of the Lord. Das bhute hare reva. He is the das of the Lord. Lord is the only master and every living entity is a servant. Therefore, it is his duty and also is eligible to do it all the time under all circumstances. It does not depend on such thing as taking birth in a particular family or having a particular age or beauty or wealth or some particular type of character or other such material considerations. These things have no effect on the eligibility of bhakti. So that's what it means, that it is a universal path. As he is quoting the sloka in which says that Dhruva, he was not very much grown up, or Kubja was not very beautiful, Sudama was not very rich person, Ugrasen was not very chivalrous. So they all were devotees, because Lord is not pleased with any of such qualities. He is pleased only by bhakti. So this is what it means, that it is a universal path. He is answering that in reality path is only one, and that is the path of bhakti. Because it is only bhakti which can give perfection. Because bhakti is Lord's own potency. It is the essence of Ladani and Samvit potency of the Lord. Gyan means ekatmak darshan, to see one as non-different from the Absolute. That is called Gyan. And it says that this is actually a demoniac mentality, means not to accept Lord's existence and rather want to think that one himself is that. So those people who do not want to surrender to the Lord, who are having demoniac, for them this type of path has been created. But even then, one cannot attain perfection in this without bhakti. As there is this famous statement that those who think that they are liberated but do not accept the lotus feet of the Lord, Yamni Arvindaksha Vimukta Manina, they think that they have become liberated and they work for this perfection and Gyan Marg. So they will ultimately fall down. Arviya Krishvena Parampadam Patanti Adha Anadriti Yushmadamre, because they disrespect Lord's feet. So they have to come down. So he says that in reality the path is only of bhakti. So Maharaj is answering that bhakti means to do work or service for the Lord. Bhakti mat karma krit prokta. As Krishna has answered in Bhagavatam that bhakti is mat karma krit, to do karma or activity for his sake. So bhakti is not something that you take one training and then you will get something else out of it. That training which is described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Guru Padashraya Tasmat Krishna Diksha Disikshana, that training is also non-different from bhakti. So it is not that you are going to train somebody, give education, and then he is going to get something else. There is no such thing as getting some external object in it. It is that mental consciousness to do service. And in this one has to surrender. It begins with the surrender. So that inspiration has to be there, otherwise training is not going to do anything. It says that people are attached to their bodies, and whatever training you will give them, if they don't accept it themselves, they are going to use it only for the sake of the body. So whether you preach or you train, then they will use it for attaining name, fame, wealth, followers, etc. So activities of bhakti which are described, they have to be accepted. And that itself is bhakti. It is not some other thing which will come out of that. So it is beginning with Guru Padashraya, taking shelter in the Guru. And that's where the training itself also begins. It is part of devotion only. So, says that this happens yadrichya mat kathadam jat shraddhastu yapaman. So he gets shraddha by will of the Lord. And when shraddha is there, then only he can accept. If shraddha is not there, he is not going to accept. Shraddha means firm resolution to follow the process without any doubt or without any mentality to differentiate oneself from Guru or from the process. Necessary. As it was said earlier, that it is a universal path, which means it can be executed anywhere. So it is not compulsory or necessary that one has to live in Vrindavan. But one's consciousness should be there in Vrindavan.
Thinking about the religions, like Christianity, Islam, or Buddhism, Brahman, they cannot take you back to Godhead, all this religion. So I'm just wondering, the jiva, after going through 8,400,000 species of life, he gets the human body, especially in the West, what chance does he stand to make a choice between going back to Godhead or going to Maya?
So Maharaji is saying that the chance depends on Shraddha, which means liking the process. If one likes the process, then he or she can take to it, because it is a simple process. It is not complicated.
But somebody who's born in the West, he doesn't get a chance like that. To like or to have faith, where's it coming from?
तो पूछ रहे हैं कि जो पाश्चात्य में लोग हैं, saying that hearing is necessary. Without hearing, they will never know it, so there is no chance. This hearing and liking, that is most important. So that is, wherever they are, they have to somehow hear it.
Very little chance. Eh?
Maharaj is saying that bhakti is kriya yoga, means it is activity. It is not just sitting down. And as he is quoting, avigyata khil klesa Krishna ashrita sarva kriya, that a person, gives up attachment to the body. That means he does not become disturbed or absorbed in the bodily cares or bodily miseries, and all his activities are meant for Lord Krishna. So he says what is reality and what has been taught or spoken about or preached are two different things. So he says in bhakti, the beginning stage and the final stage, they are just the same. It's just like the seed, and then seed becomes a tree, and also there is a seed in that. So